What's wrong with Destiny 2 going into 2020? The DestinyTheGame subreddit recently began a focused feedback discussion about the state of PvE in Destiny 2. They asked a long list of questions that pertain to many of the recurring topics in the subreddit community. Topics include public events, patrols, raids, matchmaking, and even crossplay. I took the time to discuss this with my Twitch community while providing feedback to their post. One of the things I wanted to take a look at was on the Destiny Reddit. And if you're able to provide feedback, this would be awesome, because I do like when people remind me of things. But for you Guardians who are unhappy, so this is a focused feedback thread. Focused feedback, state of PvE, which is my favorite game mode. Hello Guardians, focused feedback is where we take the week to focus on a hot topic discussed extensively around the tower. We do this in order to consolidate feedback to get out all of your ideas and issues surrounding the topic in one place for discussion and a source of feedback to the Vanguard. This thread will be active until next week when a new topic is chosen for discussion. Whilst focused feedback is active, all posts regarding blah 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 will be here. Okay, any and all feedback on the topic is welcome. Please add your feedback on the current state of PvE to this thread. This includes, and they listed a bunch of things. I love when they do this because it jogs my memory. And what I was really happy to see here is that they brought up things that a lot of people have been talking about, and it really kind of gives me hope for what Bungie is noticing in feedback and what they're actually starting to consider. We also did a State of the Crucible last week if you would rather talk about PvP. Okay, maybe I should go to that one too. Okay, so they start off with which activities, which currently lack matchmaking, should have a matchmaking option added. Examples include Blind Well, Escalation Protocol, Altar of Sorrow, Heroic Menagerie, 950 and 980 Power Nightmare Hunts, 950 and 980 Power Nightfalls, raids, etc. Please explain your reasons in detail. So for me, I find the higher level Nightfalls and raids and heroics to be something that I don't necessarily want matchmaking on, because as you guys could see earlier this week, we tried going into a Nightfall that was a 920? A 920 Nightfall, and each time we got a random who just couldn't stay alive. It was like they were a brand new character with terrible weapons, or exotics didn't match their abilities, and they just kept running in and dying, and it's like we can't try things or accomplish anything with this person dying, because we kind of need them to actually get a successful speed run through to make it worth their while, because we were there to collect points, not just to complete an activity. And with someone constantly dying, it doesn't always work out. So that third person became a liability because we were playing like we were with 3 people instead of 2. So I'm not so sure about matchmaking, but I'm cool with LFGs, and we're going to get to that later. So for the purpose of this particular example that they asked about, I think it is absolutely necessary to have matchmaking for Blind Well, Escalation Protocol, and similar public activities such as Altars of Sorrow. This helps keep the activities alive and actually gives people a chance to complete them. Currently, Blind Well is impossible without going in with either a full 3-stack or high DPS experienced players. So like the last time Moose and I went into Blind Well, we only want to do it twice if we're doing the bounty for some reason, but we were trying to complete Blind Well so Moose could finally complete the Cursebreaker title, so that required Moose to go to the Throne World or go to visit Mara Sov one more time. And we had to find a third person because we were able to get through a tier 3 Blind Well. But when we got to the final boss, the one for the Heroic Well, once we got to the Heroic Blind Well boss, we were unable to kill it. And it was that particular boss who was a challenge. If it had been another boss, it would have been easy. But having matchmaking in Blind Well is super important. And they used to have matchmaking, as far as I know, because they talked about it before. So if they turned it off, I don't know why. It used to be if you went into blind well, you could wait a minute and you'd end up with 3, 4, 5, 6 people. And now you can go into blind well and never see another soul. And I did that the other day. I went around just recording video of different parts of the Dreaming City, and I walked into blind well and kind of screwed around for a while, and nobody showed up. So I'm under the impression that Bungie had matchmaking turned on. Like I said, it sounded like they had, if I recall correctly, they said last year that there was matchmaking for that, and now nobody is being matched together. So I don't know what happened there. Next question. If matchmaking was added to some of the above activities, should entering matchmaking require a completion of the concerned activity to participate in it? Example, after a player has completed a 950 power nightmare hunt, they can enter matchmaking for that activity. So this is an interesting question. And it's a bit of a challenge because a lot of the people who play Destiny, a lot of people play Destiny alone. And they like to do these higher activities, but the reason why people have been asking for LFG is because they just can't find anyone to play with. Or they find that the people they encounter when they do LFGs are toxic, and they're like me, they really don't have any time for that crap. They just want to play and enjoy the game. Now, I think you could do a 950 nightmare hunt with matchmaking, but the 980s get to be a little challenging. And so I went in with a couple different 3 stacks, and we were unable to complete it. And then I went in with Jay and Weeks one week, and we knocked out several time trials. But the 3 of us were playing characters that complemented each other, and we were communicating about positioning, and we were coordinating our ultimates, or our supers, as you call it in the Destiny universe. And Jay is a high DPS player, so we were able to knock those out and actually complete the time trials. And sometimes we had to redo the 980. Like, I think we had to redo one 3 times, or maybe even 4 times. We got stuck at an ogre at one point. And so what happens if you fail the nightmare hunt? What happens? You need to go back through it again. Are you going to get matched with the same people? What if someone is AFK? What if you do get what Moose and I got in our last attempt at doing Nightfalls, and we get a Blueberry who doesn't have any good weapons and doesn't know what to do with exotics? Like, why are you wearing Lunafactions with Stormcaller, for example? That kind of thing. Lunafactions have nothing to do with Stormcaller, and they're completely useless. I mean, you could. I think they still influence the Healing Rift, but still, there are much better exotics to use with specific supers. This is a challenge because you have a hardcore player versus a social or casual player. I'm a hardcore casual, meaning I often reject meta to just enjoy other loadouts, but I will still do what it takes to win. Unfortunately, if I'm match made with someone in a harder activity who doesn't use an exotic that complements their loadout and class, and uses weapons that really give the person no advantage, we've got a problem. 980 nightmare hunts aren't strikes. I can't carry someone through a 980 nightmare hunt. Whereas a strike, I can carry, and actually prefer to solo in most cases. So, Jazraya, you said you're a total casual Blueberry. I disagree with that. You don't play a lot of Destiny, but whenever you do play with us, you are not content with sucking. You are still going to do what it takes, and if we look at your loadout and we give you suggestions, you're going to do everything you can to change it so that you can be successful. So, like, we've taken you in raids, and if there was one role that didn't quite work for you, we were able to help you out by making loadout suggestions and by putting you in a role in the team where you were still incredibly beneficial. You have a lot of people who go into matchmade activities who really have no intent of doing their part. And that's where matchmaking becomes a problem. So if Bungie could somehow assign a score to people based on what they've accomplished in the game and how they play in relation to other players, and like put me with better players because I am a better player, that would make it a better experience for the more experienced players, or the players who actually care to achieve in the game. So if I'm going to go into a 980 Nightmare Hunt, I'm going to spend a lot of time determining what my loadout should be, including mods. Do I need barrier breakers? Am I there to keep my team alive? What am I going to do as a warlock? Should I go void versus solar? Should I do Nova Bomb versus well? You've seen us set up our characters for these harder activities, and we take a while to discuss it and think about it, and then we coordinate among each other. So it's not, we're not god tier players, but we're good, and it's something we actually have to talk about, like, especially since we have locked loadouts. And I don't think it would be an issue too much if loadouts weren't locked. So I think maybe that's the problem. I can't adapt for my teammates if loadouts are locked. So perhaps the biggest barrier to matchmaking in the harder activities is locked loadouts. I can't change to accommodate for my blueberries weaknesses. And that's really what... Now, the cool thing is Bungie is going to ask about locked loadouts later on. Should story mode have an option to play match-made with other players? Warframe and several other games allow this. You can also opt to start immediately and allow other players to join your mission in progress. So regarding story mode having the option to play match-made with other players, I said my opinion on this applies to all match-made story missions such as adventures, strikes, and campaign, but excludes public match-made activities such as public events, blind well, etc., because I addressed those above. 1, you should always have the option to matchmake, meaning you should be able to choose whether you want to or not. I'm not against options. If you want to play a certain way, that's great, but I want the option to play how I'd like. You should, number 2, you should have the option to start at the beginning. I personally don't like backfilling, but some people like that. Make that an option, not only for story missions, but PvP and PvPvE as well. All right, so the next question they pose is, should strikes or certain other activities with matchmaking have an option to turn it off so they can be soloed or duoed? This is an overwhelming yes, and the community has been asking for this for a long time. Should there be an in-game LFG system for PvE activities? What sorts of things would you like to see? Well, that's interesting. Sure, I think LFG should be in-game. I personally don't use LFG because my experience has been bad. Patrols. Give your feedback on patrols and exploration. What are your favorite patrols? Which patrols do you dislike? And how can patrols be improved? So, I call all the patrols, well, I have like nicknames for them. We have, I like kill, scan, and item missions. I like kill, scan, and item missions, but I think the types of patrols are all fine. I do like someone's suggestion that I read in the Reddit the other day about making the patrols like those in Destiny 1, where the whole fire team can complete each patrol despite where they are in the map. Public events. Give your feedback on public events. What are your favorites, and which ones do you not like? How could public events be improved? Okay, this is a big deal because I think Tangled Shore is a really good example of the state of public events. Most of the areas only have one type of public event, Cryopod. Fourhorn Gulch has 3 types. I can't stress enough the importance of variety of public events in each space, and that the game cycles through them. I shouldn't go hours without seeing a Glimmer or Ether event, for example. Also, Cryopod shouldn't be so hard to make heroic in spite of blueberries, who simply want to annihilate the boss. Removing the stomp mechanic would give those who want to make it heroic more of a chance. Available game modes. What do you like and what don't you like? Why? So, I never have a complaint about options. I prefer PvE modes and really enjoy Gambit Prime as well. Crucible and its linear fusion rifle quest have infuriated me. I'm tired of glitching, teleporting, and lag, and the linear fusion rifle quest made the game incredibly boring. But I digress. I want more campaign that plays out the lore with great storytelling and cutscenes like Forsaken. I've seen the cutscenes a lot in Forsaken and continue to pick up nuances throughout the year. This is one of the things I've loved about Destiny. Okay. PvE weapon balance. What feels too strong in PvE? What feels too weak? Please explain your reasons. So, this is interesting. One of my favorite things about Destiny are the weapons. And one of the things that has ruined other games for me are Destiny's weapons. I went in and played Fortnite with like Bubbles and Finn in them. Well after I started playing Destiny, and then I tried Anthem, and I've tried some other games, and the weapons in Destiny feel amazing. And even so, one of the things I like to do. So you guys have seen my vault. My vault is ridiculous. For a while there, I was going in and I was turning in the simulation seeds to Brother Vance like everyone else because it had a good ROI. You'd get like a good amount of legendary shards, and I was getting a lot of enhancement cores from it. But one of the things I got were, of course, you get a ton of weapon drops. So like this parcel or this perfect paradox, I got this as a masterwork drop from Brother Vance. Most of these weapons you see that are masterworked, I got as masterwork drops. And I kept them. I was like, it's masterworked, I'm going to keep it. Very few exceptions. Some I've masterworked myself, but like I never saved a call to serve until I got this one recently. And this is a masterwork drop. So I was like, cool, I'll keep it. And it's just a collector thing I do. And what I was doing with the Banshee Bounties before Bungie destroyed them, because they used to cycle through different weapon types, but they'd have one bounty that was the same every day. And now they're like all the same every day, which needs to change. But I would pick up my Banshee Bounties and go pick a weapon out of my vault, usually one that I didn't normally use. And that's how I discovered how great the Conqueror 2 was. So I got the Conqueror 2 kinetic SMG from Brother Vance, and it was masterworked, and I threw it in the vault. And one day I get an SMG bounty, and I was like, you know what? I don't feel like using Recluse today, or Bug Out Bag. Let me go see what's in the vault. And I saw the Conqueror 2, and I was like, I'm going to go pull it out and play with it. And I took it to the Tangled Shore and discovered that this thing rips through Scorn like crazy. It turns out it's just a great SMG. So it's now one of my favorite weapons. And that's because I used to never try other weapons in Destiny. My first year I did Vigilance Wing with the old Tango 45 and then a sword. And then I switched to 2 hand cannons and a sword. Always used the Sunshot with, I forgot what my kinetic, Better Devils. I had a Better Devils with timed payload, Sunshot, and then my sword. And I used that for the longest time. It just murdered things. It was a fun loadout. But then I got Delirium. Then I got Hammerhead and started using that. And then I got Delirium, and now it's like, Delirium is always on every character. It's such a great machine gun. But it's by doing the Banshee Bounties that I've discovered what all these different weapons do, and it's a lot of fun. And when they nerfed Breakneck, I got really disappointed. Like, I didn't even know they nerfed it. I was just using it, and I'm like, why is this thing like crap all of a sudden? Like, Shadowkeep came along and Breakneck wasn't really killing anything. And I could never get a final blow with my friend, so I never activated the perk. And when I did activate the perk, it was just kind of meh. So then I went back and started using Horror Story that I got in my first Halloween event that I played, which I think was year 2. Yeah, it was after Forsaken dropped. And so it was last year's, well, it was 2018's weapon. Horror Story is still a really good auto rifle, and I totally forgot about it. And someone saw me playing with it, and they're like, are you using Horror Story? Like, yeah. They're like, that's a great gun. Yeah. But when Breakneck came out, I stopped using it. But now I'm using Breakneck again, especially when I'm soloing my bounties, and I really love it. But what I really liked about the concept of the Banshee Bounties is they were causing me to play with different weapons in the game, which made it interesting. And now they've taken that away because it's like the same 5 weapon types every day. Linear fusion rifle, rocket launcher, scout rifle, sniper rifle, and pulse rifle. And I'm sick of them. Bungie needs to step up their game and, well, okay, it's easy. Reintroduce the variety that we had before Shadowkeep. Stop forcing us to play with the same 5 weapon types. So that's my thing. I don't think weapon balancing in PvE is a big deal at all. Although I will... Okay, one thing. I think scout rifles need to be buffed. So what I said to them was, overall, Destiny 2 weapons are the best I've used. You've ruined me for other games. I really don't have many complaints, except that I'd like to have the new mod slots added to my existing year 1 weapons, because I've worked my butt off for them and I masterworked them. And that scout rifles are kind of weak for what they are. Also, season mod slots should be added to all exotics, and we should have the option to use those mods on whichever weapon archetype we choose. Finally, Wish Ender is finally at a good place. I understand nerfing it from its current state, but it was a boring weapon that no one used before this recent bug. Find a happy medium. PvE Subclass Balance. What feels too strong in the PvE? What feels too weak? Please explain your reasons. Ooh, this is a good question. I feel like Titans are kind of weak, honestly. But to be honest with you, I don't know the Titan and Hunter subclasses as well as I know the others. I feel that it's too easy to die as a Hunter, except when you use the invisibility dodge. Now, as a Warlock main, I don't really have any qualms with any of the Warlock subclasses. So I personally don't feel that there are any notable imbalances in PvE. PvP is another story. PvE Exotic Balance. What feels too strong in PvE? What feels too weak? Please explain your reasons. Again, I don't have many opinions on this. I've already mentioned the Wish Ender above. I think if there's one, let's take a look at the PvE. Let's take a look at the weapons, because I need to jog my memory here. Collections, exotic weapons. I mean, like, I don't use Crimson. There are other weapons I'd rather use, but there are a lot of people who love Crimson. A lot of people are like, this is a crazy deadly weapon. And if they enjoy... I don't think this is a weapon that's out of balance. I just don't enjoy playing it. So the important thing is to have an opinion while recognizing that just because you don't enjoy a weapon, that doesn't mean it's weak. I'm not a fan of Jade Rabbit. I failed to understand the allure of this weapon. I don't know. That's kind of lame. Rat King is stupid. Like, that's actually a powerful weapon in the right situation. Cerberus I've been murdered by many times. Thorn is a very cool weapon. Well, it is cool in concept, but it's kind of boring. My issue with Thorn is I enjoy Sunshot a lot more. And if I wasn't a Sunshot user, I'd probably use Thorn more. Bad Juju is boring, although grants super energy. Maybe I should play with this more. I should probably do a build around this, the Bad Juju build. I feel like Lumina needs more damage on it. You know, actually, yeah, more damage for Lumina. This is a great concept of a weapon, but nobody uses it. People think it's so many people have said it's useless. It needs more damage. Or, like, shield break or something. Monte Carlo is really cool, and I would totally use that, but again, you can't put mods on it. Skyburner's Oath. Actually, this is what we should work on today, the Catalyst. I pulled that out of collections for a reason. Hardlight, I feel like this doesn't have enough shield break. I don't know, dude. Let's be real. I personally do not know anyone who likes Hardlight. I was very happy to get the Catalyst done. People love Ariana's Vow. Again, this replaces a weapon I really love, so I don't use it. Although I need to work on the Catalyst. So I think my biggest complaint so far is Lumina and Hardlight. Acreus, the problem is reload. But the reload gets significantly it gets significantly buffed when you upgrade the catalyst, which this is a catalyst that I have in progress. I need to go finish this. So I think the reload goes up to here, so it's like twice as fast. It's a pretty sweet weapon. Colony, these are all great weapons. They really are. I don't like how you can murder yourself with 1,000 voices. So I really have 3 complaints. Alright, so PvE Exotic Balance. What I did is I just listed the 3 weapons. Hardlight, this is not a fun gun. It feels like it doesn't penetrate, even though that's what it says it does. Lumina is a great concept, but feels weak and useless. I'd be more inclined to use this if it had armor, or shield break, or more DPS. 1K, this is a ridiculously awesome weapon, but it's pretty crappy how you will insta-die if a thrall drops in front of you while you are DPSing a boss. So it's way too much of a liability given how the game currently works. Strikes! Do you have any specific feedback about the strike game modes or about specific strikes? What would you like to see in future strikes? Alright, I feel like many of us have gone sour on perfectly good strikes because we've been forced to do them so many times for different quests. Good example is Nokris. We are so sick of Nokris. Also, I think the nature of strike bounties have ruined the experience of playing with other people and are largely why many of us would like to firewall strikes. Bounties should focus on completing so many strikes or getting so many kills, generating so many orbs, etc., not final blows from specific weapons. What are your thoughts on locked loadouts and kick to orbit on fail mechanics? Do you find these mechanics make the game more enjoyable or less? Why? And should these mechanics be removed from or added to any existing activities? So I said I like kick to orbit mechanics when they are a choice and part of pursuing a triumph. I love triumphs. It's a real challenge. I personally don't like loadouts. I personally don't like locked loadouts, and I don't see the point. I think knowing what you need to change to is part of the game, especially if you introduce matchmaking into harder activities. You'll need to change your loadout to accommodate for more inexperienced or less talented players. I'm being super real here. I mean, that it's like Overwatch. Being locked into a role. There are many situations, like last night, I wish I could have switched to Sombra when I was in a healing mode. I couldn't get out of the healing role because I was locked into it. But we needed a Sombra, and I was the Sombra main, locked into healing. It's crazy. What are your thoughts on other current PvE activity modifiers, such as Elemental Burn, Blackout, etc.? Should certain modifiers be added or removed from PvE activities? Do you have any ideas for new PvE modifiers? That would be fun. I really don't care. I really don't care. And I think it's cool that there are modifiers to make it more interesting. I said, for me, modifiers have made it more fun or interesting. Sometimes it's harder. Sometimes it's easier. The switch up can be fun and makes me consider using different loadouts, which I enjoy, but I want the loadout choices to be mine. Raids. What is your feedback on raids in general? Do you have any specific feedback for future raids? Okay. The only raid I don't like is Garden of Salvation. I do it a lot because my friends play it. But I find it to be boring. Honestly. Alright, I said this is where visuals come in. Overall, I love that I finally have people to raid with. I love the commitment, challenge, and sense of accomplishment. I also like the feeling of getting good. I like that some raids are hard and some are easy. I like that some are long and some are short. What I don't like is getting sick of my environment. My biggest complaint with Garden of Salvation is that I find it boring because everything looks the same. I don't like the final 2 fights in Crown because that's where you spend the most time and the environment has gotten boring. It's really important to switch up how things look. Art matters. Yeah, that's the cool thing though, Killmace, about Destiny. Not so much year 3, but year 2, it was all about getting good. Like, year 2 was challenging. it was like getting into it was good enough for newer players like I was at the time, but it challenged me enough to actually learn new things about my character, like how I can move and cheese things and learn more about my different abilities. And it was mysterious, and there were a lot of things to search for. I really like searching for things in the game. I think it's fun. And so like this last mission that we had with the sidearm here in Shadowkeep, I really enjoyed, but I was super disappointed that it was only that. Bugs. What bugs or glitches have you encountered when playing in the PvE? Can't really think of much, honestly. You guys seem to be on top of serious bugs. Quests and bounties. Okay, this is a big one. Give your feedback on PvE quests and bounties. Okay. There's too many bounties. Way too many freaking bounties. People bug you. I know, people ruin games. People make games fun, but they also ruin them. People are like food. You need them, but they make you fat. I don't know. Quests and bounties. Alright, I said there are way too many bounties in the game. I like the Banshee bounties and the rewards, but this type of bounty should be limited to Banshee. I also want the Banshee bounties to cycle through different weapon archetypes, not just the ones you are featuring this season. In fact, stop featuring specific weapon archetypes. Stop. Just stop. Strike and Crucible bounties should center around team play and guiding people toward proper gameplay, rather than getting final blows with snipers and such. Quests, I loved the new sidearm quest until I learned that that was all there was. Izanagi's Burden was amazing. Wish Ender was amazing. Whisper, Bad Juju, and Outbreak Perfected were all amazing. That's what I want to see for quests. Rewards. What are your thoughts on obtainable rewards from PvE modes? How should these be changed or improved? This is kind of funny. I said year 2 rewards were amazing. I love that I still need to complete a couple of nightfalls to get specific weapons. Also, I love when catalysts drop from accomplishing activities such as strikes, raids, etc. I want more of that. I want ornaments and catalysts from triumphs and activities. This is a looter shooter. Give me a reason to shoot and loot. Junk and auto-dismantle is a topic that has recently come up on Reddit, and it's becoming more prominent. People keep posting about this now. Like, plant the seed and others will follow. Do we get too much junk from playing PvE? Should there be an auto-dismantle option for certain types of loot? Example, blues below your power level. Junk is necessary for glimmer and gunsmith materials. Yes. Give us settings for determining what we want to auto-dismantle. Cosmetics in Eververse. What are your thoughts on cosmetic rewards from PvE activities, including Eververse engrams and Bright Dust? What changes would you like to see and why? I like that I'm finally getting Bright Dust drops from engrams. Bring the engram system from year 2 back. Bright Dust is still sparse. I'm fine with making most cosmetics available for silver, but please, for the love of God, go the Warframe route and make everything earnable. Truly coveted items should only be available through strong achievements in gameplay. And this is what Bungie has massively failed on this year. Experience from gameplay. Does playing PvE game modes outside of bounties enable you to level up your season pass at a reasonable rate? Or does the amount of experience from certain PvE modes need to be changed? All PvE activities should be comparable or should have comparable XP. For example, all raids should offer equal value rewards. Sure, maybe only reward 3 pinnacle drops per week from raids, but let it be the raid of one's choosing. Raids should reward the most, followed by dungeons, then nightfalls, etc. So regarding pinnacle drops, maybe only reward 3 pinnacle drops per week from raids, but let it be the raid of one's choosing. Raids should reward the most, followed by dungeons, then nightfalls, etc. These tiers should be the same for XP rewards as well. Bounties need to take a backseat to activity completion. All right, PvE Development Team Communication. Do you feel like Bungie communicates enough with the player base concerning the PvE? If not, what types of additional interactions or communication would you like to see, and with what frequency? I think Bungie does a great job communicating with the player base, but they say things that they don't necessarily deliver on, And I'm fine with details changing. That's going to happen in the development of a video game. But when they get onto a Vidoc and they're saying, we're super excited about this because we're going to make changes that allow you to play the way you want to play. And then they come in and they specify what weapons we have to use. Like last season, we had to use SMGs and auto rifles. Those were the weapons we had to use. That ruins the game. So I think the biggest thing about the development team is they need to listen to what we actually want. I said I think they do a great job communicating with us. Seriously, props. I'm impressed. But you need to listen to your community and ask yourself, what do they really want? What we really want is what you mentioned in a Vidoc that you totally did not deliver on, and that is making the game so that we can play it the way we want to. Forcing me to use SMGs and auto rifles last season for barrier breaking, and now Scout and Pulse rifles is the opposite of creating an environment in which I play the way I want. And here's a great question that I found very exciting to read because a lot of people come into my stream and they're like, are you on console? And they're asking me because they want to play with the group or they want help with, like, Moose and I will Sherpa people through dungeons and we can't because the person asking is on console. Or like we're looking for a raider who would be a great addition, but they're on console. They said, would you like to have the option to cross-platform play in PvE? Why or why not? I said yes. I have people stop in my stream who want to join a raid or want to be Sherpa through a dungeon, but I can't help them because they are on console. Sadness. Other PvE changes or improvements? What other changes or improvements to the PvE would you like to see and why? Glimmer and resource auto pickup from chests. I will open a chest and stand on it and walk around it to try to pick up everything, but I'll see stuff sitting there when I come back later. We should auto pick up everything that is within a certain radius of us. So that's the focused feedback for the week. It's really good. This is stuff that I really care about because I'm a PvE player, so super happy. Thank you for your encouragement and donations. This video exists because of your generosity. If you would like to support the development of future videos, please like, share, and subscribe. A link for donations is included below. Click Show More for video notes and links.